Well, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. First item is roll call.
Wilkie?
Here.
Stefka?
Yes.
Lucas? Here. Patterson? Here. Brewyer?
Here.
Okay, quorum's present. The next item is to approve the minutes of July 14th, 2022.
I so move. Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Wilkie?
Yes.
Stefka?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Patterson? Brewyer?
Yes.
Okay. Items 4 through 7 all involve the Sustainable Beef Project, and I'm going to abstain from voting on those, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stefka, and he's going to chair the discussion for those items this morning.
The next agenda item is on number 4 is review the sale agreement between the City of North Platte, Nebraska, and the Community Redevelopment Authority of the City of North Platte related to the Sustainable Beef Project. And I'm going to consider the resolution executing the sale agreement, and it's, if we look at this, this is going to be resolution 2022-6 to really distinguish between the two resolutions that you have in front of you. If you look at section 2 to make sure you're examining the right resolution 2, section 2 says pursuant to the plan and redevelopment contract, the City of North Platte is to convey real estate to the authority and for that purpose has approved a sale agreement in the form attached to Exhibit A. So this is for the sale of the property from the City of North Platte to the CRA. And Mr. Bacon, if you would.
Members of the authority, my name is Mike Bacon, been assisting on this project. We have a redevelopment plan that has been approved. You've also approved a redevelopment contract. Both of those documents require that property owned by the city be transferred first to the CRA in exchange for $142,500, which is the appraised value of the property. The city has already approved this contract and approved the mayor's signature of this contract. We do not intend that it be signed today. We're just getting this resolution in place, so the approval is there for closing on the project. So what this requires is approval of you to have Mr. Stefka sign this on behalf of the authority. So you understand the other side of this will not be signed by the mayor until Mr. Stefka certifies that we have seen a copy of the construction contract and that we have a certificate from the bank saying that the equity and the loan is committed. And that will all collapse and occur at the closing of the project. So as we get closer, we'll make sure that nobody wanders out of town when we need those signatures.
Real quick, and this involves kind of all of them, but you know, I note in the city's agreement we have the contingency, and and I understand that the first paragraph, and it's under paragraph 16 in the city's agreement. And I understand why that's there, and I suspect that you anticipate that the city's not going to transfer the land to the CRA until those contingencies are met. But it seems to me, just out of an abundance of caution, and it may be that in case the purchase agreement on behalf of the CRA to Sustainable Beef is signed sometime after the city agreement signed, but before the land is transferred from the city, I think that second paragraph of 16 should be in the contract between the CRA and the city, which is provided that Sustainable Beef certifies buyer that it has signed an agreement for construction of 1,500 per day beef processing plant on the real property, has obtained a written commitment from a lending institution for financing of such construction, and has obtained required equity as required by the lending institution. I don't think it would hurt, to have that second paragraph as a contingency under the proposed contract between the CRA and Sustainable Beef.
Could this was all the documents are going to be signed at the same time, at the same place, so the contingency before, the city's contingency will be approved at the same time that the mortgage is signed, that the deeds are signed and all of that, so that goes step one, and then this becomes step two, so the contingency will be out of the way. But if you wish to do that, I can revise that. My preference would be, because hopefully time is getting short, that we don't alter the document at this time, but because it is contemplated that we do it all at the same time and not here it is and then we do ours later. So the signature of the city, the CRA, and Mr. Briggs will all be at the table and go bang, 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 bang. And none of those will be signed until we see the two documents. We can't see those documents in advance.
Right.
Because the construction agreement, for example, requires that upon execution, they provide 10% of the price of the construction in advance. And so, and the lender is not going to do that until we see all of the documents signed. So my preference, because the closing documents will probably be a foot high, is that we don't alter this and have someone challenge that was not presented to you at this meeting. So,
And I don't see a problem as long as the vice chair and the city both approve that contingency.
yep. Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that,
in fact, Mr. Stefka is the one that'll have to certify it, so he will be the one that sees the documents and certifies that to the city.
and the city will certify it also before they transfer it to the CRA.
Yeah.
As long as Rob's comfortable.
I have no problem with that. My sense is that may be somewhere involved also in the title commitment.
Yeah.
You know, the
We're-
title
we're-
insurance will be issued from City of North Platte, CRA, and those guarantees and
Yep.
items will be placed in that. And but prior to the transfer of that next document, to me, it has to be a chain,
Yeah.
almost simultaneous.
It will be simultaneous, yeah. So we will have, yes, there are a lot of steps that I'm not at liberty to talk about, but there will be the loan documents, fund transfers, all of that stuff will occur in what would probably be an hour, hour and a half closing. Yeah.
Transfer to the CRA, transfer from the CRA to the Sustainable Beef.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as long as the vice chair's comfortable, that he knows
Yeah.
his job and what needs to be set up
Yeah.
before we
So
transfer it.
We do have the, just approved yesterday from the underwriter, the title insurance policy preliminarily. That will go to all parties to see if they're okay with that. But we've got the list of documents that have to go in. And so we will go through that with Mr. Stefka a day or two in advance, so he understands that process, yeah.
Mr. Bacon, what will the value of that final title insurance reflect?
That is to be established by an as-built appraisal because title insurance has to hit the amount of the appraisal, and that can be different than the construction cost. We now know how much the proposed lender's coverage is. And until we know what that appraisal is going to be, we can't set that. But it's obviously significant and north of 300 million, so,
There's a little insurance with that.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Any other
Rudy,
questions?
after his thoughts.
Yeah. Good, good lawyering,
Well,
good
well,
thought,
it makes
yeah.
sense if it's all gonna be done
Same time.
same time.
Yeah, yeah,
So that the
yeah.
city's assured, hey, this is going forward, we're not giving up this land for nothing.
Oh, no.
CRA's assured, this is going forward, not giving up, and so in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
And I certainly,
All the documents are
trust
gonna be
Mr.
on the
Steffen.
tabletop. and
Right.
this- Yep,
okay.
yep. Any other questions? Those are good questions.
Anyone else would like to respond from the public? Any other comments? We go on to then, we would go on to item number 5, the consider adoption of that resolution.
I would move we adopt resolution number 2022-6.
Then a motion to adopt resolution 2022-6. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Does this resolution need to be read, or can we just adopt that way?
You just adopted, yeah.
Any other discussion then on 2022-6? If not, we will take a roll call vote.
Stefan,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Patterson, Julia,
Yes.
and Wolke is absent.
The next agenda item is review sale agreement between the Community Redevelopment Authority of the City of North Platte and Sustainable Beef LLC related to the Sustainable Beef Redevelopment Project. Discussion. Comments, public, Mr. Bacon?
This is step 2, following step 1, which is essentially everything is described in the redevelopment plan, provided for in the redevelopment contract, and this is simply the mechanism that provides or documents the sale to Sustainable Beef. Since we have real estate agents here, I will tell you that the transfer will be by special warranty deed, not general warranty deed, which limits the CRA's liability. But we have the title insurance policy commitment ready to go that assures the buyer that they've got good title to the property. So,
I think it is a point that we need to impress if there anywhere. The title insurance insures this up to that amount to guarantee that the transaction's been done correctly and the money's been transferred and all those items are met. It's a safeguard, I sense, as a public person, that we realize the cities have a sizable policy that's
Yep.
backing this up.
yeah. And this is being reviewed at the highest level of the title insurance underwriter, gone through several committees because of its size. And we've spent the last week working with them, so.
Well, in light of, everything happening at the same time, I think that resolves what concerns that I would have, because I wouldn't want the city to give us the land unless all of those conditions were met
No,
and then
no.
Rob.
It's really, that's why I put that in the plan and the redevelopment contract, because there was obvious interest. Everybody wanted, let's transfer the land. No, not until it's a done deal.
Right.
And so those protections have been built in at least 3 levels, so.
Anyone else like to comment? If not, then we consider, number 7, consider adoption of resolution approving the execution of sale agreement between the Community Redevelopment Authority, the City of North Platte, and Sustainable Beef. And again, that goes back to that paragraph 2, pursuant to and that's the one we are conveying real estate to Sustainable Beef rather than to the CRA. That's about the different wording on those resolutions. So we'll consider the adoption of the resolution 2022-07.
I will move that we adopt that resolution known as 2022-7.
Been moved and seconded to accept resolution 2022-7. Is there any discussion on the authority? Hearing none, ask you to consider the adoption.
Stefan?
Oh, we need a motion first?
I moved we adopt it.
Yeah, thank you for moving, but you're a little early.
Well, they already.
No, I already did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
didn't hear it. Is there a second? How big is that?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, we'll read it, forgive me.
Okay, Stefan?
Yes.
Lucas? Yes. Patterson? Yes. Maria?
Yes.
And Wiltie's abstaining.
Any other business before this? I'd like to finish a comment, maybe one of the last times I get to do this, so bear with me for a few minutes. And I know there are a lot of people that I wished were here who are not. Last time we talked about and appreciated those families that were involved, but I think it's more important that we thank them and consider what farm and ranch life is like in Nebraska. It's generally a generational that's passed from generation to generation. Truthfully, most of the time that we speak to those people, they own it, but they're just a steward of it. It's to be kept within the family, and we see generations living on those farms and ranches. And I'm not sure that we understand the responsibility and the weight that they accept when they go into those 3rd and 4th and 5th generations farms and ranches, and how difficult that is and what they face all the time. And with these operations, there's no paycheck on the 1st or 15th. You get one paycheck a year maybe. That's when they sell their products or services or their animals. And generally when you go to their homes, and many of them are our friends, when we go to their homes, what they live in is probably not quite as good as the barn that they keep their animals in. I also noticed that I don't see Rolls Royces, I see pickups. I don't see gentry with mansions. They wrestle with weather and government, banks, and a not so free marketplace in this instance. And since that's probably the reason that most of the genesis of this is what we're seeing. And we're seeing right now a drought from North Dakota to Texas, where these families are culling their herds, and the sadness in that. I don't know that we can quite experience it, but we can lose a job or we can be hired. But to cull that herd that's 3rd or 4th generation is a lot different, or that farm is a lot different than what we face as individuals. And I guess in conclusion, I want to talk to them specifically, and if they're watching, and appreciate them. And I've heard in these seats the statement, well, I know him. He doesn't need more money. He's rich. Heard it in these statements in these chairs. If we talk about that type of judgment and using words like that, like greed, avarice, and cupidity, and jealousy, I think those words probably come more if you look in the mirror than they do in public, and how we feel about the appreciation of what they do. So thank you again, ranch families and farm families, for continuing to fight. We as a community and individuals support you, and thank you for all the jobs that you supply. When you get up in the morning, you worry about not only your family, but what those lives and those people who work for you, what they're going to have. Will they have school supplies? Will they have money? They count on a lot of jobs, a lot of families count on these families. So I just wanted to finish with that, because to me that's reality. And thank you for the privilege that you've afforded me and the honor to serve on this board during this time. Thank you.
Very well said.
So the final item, when that's all done, is adjourn. An English term.
We're done? We're done.
Thank you.